G'day folks, it's Aussie Mark here. Thanks very much for stopping by my channel and checking out this latest video where I want to show you what you can do with your icon on YouTube to make you stand out a little bit there. There are a lot of people who've got icons that they haven't really put any work into, and those who do tend to stand out a little bit more. This is a result of one of my subscribers asking me how I made my icon and how it got it to stand out a little bit differently from everybody else. So let's have a look, for example, at some of the icons of my subscribers. If you look down here on this channel, you'll see these are some people that I subscribe to, and I want you to pay particular attention to their icons down here as I scroll through to see if you can see any that stand out. They're all basically square photos, either of something that their channel is represented by, or a photo of themselves. That one I feel stands out a little bit because it's a different shape to the others. So basically keep scrolling down and you'll see, look, they're all just basically squares. So why don't you make yours a little bit different, and let me show you some things that you can do. So I'm going to jump over here to paint.net, and I'm going to use this lady's photograph as an example. Now, if you had you may well have used a photo of yourself as your icon. So there are a few things that you can do to make some changes. First of all, let's turn it into a square because we already know that YouTube wants a square icon. So let's make it a square. What I'll do is I'm going to grab the selection tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key while I do it so that the proportions remain the same. You watch, if I don't hold down the shift key, it can be any shape, right? And it's a bit hard to draw a square that's perfectly square. But if I hold down the shift key and draw a square, it'll always remain a square, only the size will vary. It's still going to be a square. So I'm going to draw a basic square, then I'm going to go over here to my move selection, and I'm going to relocate this around this lady's face and hold down the shift key if I want to readjust it so that the square still remains a square. So I'm going to open it up a little bit more, maybe move it across here a fraction, and when I'm happy that that's fairly centered on my face, then I'm going to go to image, crop to selection. So now I've got a square shape, so that's square the same as everybody else's, right? So let's make it a little bit different. What if we were just to grab a circular or elliptical tool and simply select now within this. If I hold down the shift key, I'm going to be able to draw a circle. Whoops, I need to come down a bit lower on that. Now I'm not holding down the shift key. See how I can draw that differently, move that differently? You might like that. Maybe you want to draw a shape that's not a circle. But if you do, I'm just going to escape out of that. I'm going to hold down the shift key again, and this time I'll just draw, whoops, I'm going to draw a regular circle. Doesn't have to be exact on here because we can move it by simply selecting the move selection tool, move it to a place you like. So you could now that we've got that, I'll hit enter to whoops, shouldn't have done that. I'll just undo that. Okay, now if I go Control I, that's actually going to invert. So instead of selecting the face, it's going to select everything that's outside the face. So if I go Control I, it's now selecting all the bits that are not in that circle. Now I could simply hit the delete button and delete that, and now I've got a square. But if I don't, if I want it to be, so I could just leave it like that. I could save that and it will create a background here, or I could fill the background in. Look, my primary color here. I'll go to my primary color, which is white. I could just grab the paint bucket and click in the blank areas. Now I've got a circle instead of a square, and that's going to look like a circle in the icons on YouTube because the white part will just blend in with everything else on the background. But we can do more than that. Let's undo that. What if we just now were to say feather the edge? That means you basically blur the edge of this photograph. So if we went to Effect, down to Object and Feather, feather object. See how that's starting to blur there? I did okay because that's already at the maximum of 10, and then I can just go up to effects, repeat blur a few times until it's nice and blurry around the edge. Now if I just fill this space here with white, it's not going to work. Look, it's just going to go back to being a circle again. So if I undo that and actually add another layer, it's up here, add new layer. So make sure that the layer is underneath the photo, so we'll use this move layer down tool. Now if I fill that blank layer with the white, the fuzzy bits around the outside still stays, the blur still stays. And I could link those two together, merge those two together by clicking on the above one and the merge layer down, and then save it as a JPEG, and that could be my icon. Then I'd have a circle instead of a square. What about if you want something other than a circle? I'm going to undo a couple of these things. Let's go undo, undo, undo. Go back to where we were, to this one. What if we wanted to just really stand out by having some bizarre shape that nobody else has got? You can use this tool, this lasso select tool, and just draw some random shape. Let's just draw some random shape around this person's face. Okay, so there you go. Random shape. Now we could go Control I on that, which will, remember, invert. Control I is for invert, and then delete that layer. And then if you fill this outside space by going on your paint buckets tool, you'd end up with some weird random shape there. Or you could do the same as I showed you earlier and go to effects and feather again. Remember that was down in object feather or old feather or feather objects, they both work. And blur that so that you end up with and remember you can repeat that as many times as you want, and it'll just get stronger and stronger each time. And then you could add, remember what I did? I added another layer, I moved it down, and then I filled that empty layer that you can see there with whites by using the paint bucket tool, and you end up with some random shape. No one else is going to have a random shape like that. You could use it, create a regular shape. So if we went back to this again, and what if we want to use a regular shape? In other words, like a star or a triangle or something like that. Let's try that. To do that, what I would normally do is I will add another layer. So there's the other layer. It's above this picture this time. And I'm going to go down to this section here, click on Shapes, and I'm going to select a shape that I might like to use. So you could use all sorts of different things up here, any one of these shapes, any one of these symbols. If you wanted to make it as a, let's say we wanted a hexagon, for example, instead, for something different. Click on hexagon, and then I'm going to hold down my shift key first because I want a regular hexagon. Look at that, there's a hexagon shape. I can still move it. I've taken my finger off the shift key now. I can move that up there. Okay, now I've got a hexagon. It's just a drawn hexagon line on a new layer. So if I hit enter, that hexagon then will just stay there. Whoops, hit okay. Now what I can do is grab this magic wands tool. Remember, on this layer, all I've got is a hexagon, a clear hexagon, and you can see the photo underneath. If I just click the outside bit here, and then, so now I've got that outside bit selected on the clear layer. If I move to the photo layer now, and then hit the delete key, it's going to delete off everything that's in that selected area. Same, now you've got a hexagon shape. Backfill it with white, I don't need to show you that again. And you can do that with any of these shapes. Well, I know I didn't show you how I made my icon, but I did give you a fair idea simply by showing you that if you use a shape different to a regular square and then put white around it, as I did on mine, then it becomes an icon that's going to stand out and be different to a normal square icon. I hope you might try that, make your icon a little bit different to everybody else's as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video too. If you have, and you're not subscribed already, please click on down on that subscribe button, and a great big thumbs up would be fantastic in order to improve my rankings on YouTube for my channel. Thanks again. You have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.